So today marks the 15th anniversary of our Sheepdog presentation. The presentation has been a part of awards night for the past several years, and this morning Dr. Funk returns it to its place of origin at Senior Last Assembly. Wednesday, I mentioned that we were doing a presentation honoring our sheepdogs to a group of underclassmen, and one of them said, "Ooh, I want to be a Pomeranian." It was clear that we needed to revisit what a sheepdog is. You don't pick it, you're born to it. From the writings of Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman, United States Army retired. Most of the people in our society are sheep. They are kind, gentle, productive creatures who can only hurt one another by accident. Then there are the wolves, and the wolves feed on the sheep without mercy. But then there are the sheepdogs. The sheepdogs live to protect the flock and confront the wolf. The sheep don't generally like the sheepdog. He looks a lot like the wolf. He has fangs and the capacity for violence just like the wolf. The difference is the sheepdog has such a love for his fellow citizens that he cannot and will not ever harm the sheep, and he is willing to walk into the heart of darkness to protect them. Still, the sheepdog disturbs the sheep. He is a constant reminder that there are wolves in the land. They would prefer that he didn't tell them where to go or what to do, or be seen constantly standing at the ready in his olive drab or blue. The sheep would rather have the sheepdog cash in his fangs, spray paint himself white, and go, "Bah," until the wolf shows up. Then the entire flock tries desperately to hide behind one lonely sheepdog. That's what a sheepdog is. And there are sheepdogs among you now. This presentation usually starts a little bit of history. This year, the history is ours. I was at a seminar in 2005 when Colonel Grossman was the featured speaker. With me at that time, at that training, was the late, great Ken Jenks, who was the principal of this institution back then. Colonel Grossman shared the fact that everyone serving in the military at that time had enlisted or re-enlisted during a time of war. I was embarrassed that I hadn't realized this on my own. 9/11 was still an open wound and the wars were raging in two theaters of operation, Afghanistan and Iraq. Mr. Jenks, a student and master teacher of history, fully understood the implications of what Dave Grossman had said. DY had never recognized our enlistees before. In many cases, they were literally leaving DY for the battlefield and we were letting them go without a word of acknowledgement. At the break, we basically exchanged a glance, and in our own shorthand, he gave me the mission to rectify our error. This tradition was born right there in that moment. We were not going to let another DY senior who had completed military enlistment before graduation leave the lagoon ever again without hearing from us. Our first sheepdog presentation was to the class of 2006. 10 DY seniors had enlisted in various branches of the armed forces that year before they graduated. The last name I read was Nicholas Exaros. Nick was killed in action 3 years later in Afghanistan. I believe that it was divine providence that connected us to Dave Grossman on that day, and I consider us so fortunate that Nick Exaros left DY High School knowing how proud we were and how grateful we were to him and all of the other sheepdogs who volunteered to guard the flock that year and every year afterward. Today, we reintroduce this tradition to Senior Last Assembly and to the student body. It is a tradition of gratitude and of pride. I cannot speak to the personal motivations that compelled our sheepdogs to assume the responsibility for protecting the rest of us. I can only say that of a class of 170, these three stepped up. That is 1.7% of the class of 2021 who have chosen to take the oath to uphold and defend the Constitution and to stand the watch and confront the wolf when called upon. 1.7% makes this a very rare and special group to be a part of. Today we honor them, the sheepdogs of the class of 2021. We will present them with a plaque and a challenge coin and a blue star banner for their family to fly over their home during their enlistment. Today I'll fulfill my responsibility given to me by my friend Ken Jenks, and in his name and on behalf of the entire DY community, we thank them for the service that they are about to perform. We loudly announce our pride in them and we wish them a safe return. We do this today because we are DY, and that is our tradition. Enlisted in the United States Air Force, Jillian Barr. Enlisted in the United States Air Force, Alexander Britt. Enlisted in the United States Marine Corps Reserve, Najee Lawrence. These are the Sheepdogs of the class of 2021.